Of all the things that you do, gymnastics, you've flying all over the place. Do you reckon that came from Dad as well, where it's that sense of adventure and the adrenaline?
Sometimes I'd forget to have the fun, but then I think once I lost Dad and had to go through that grieving and reflection moment, when I'm stuck in a hard decision, I go, what would Dad do? Like, just say yes, go for it, have fun, enjoy. So I did. And then I started like hearing from people like close to me, not the trolls. It was like, oh yeah, but that's as far as you get because you're just a girl. Got a serious elbow injury. Like the year like leading into season 6, like I could barely do a chin-up.
I remember that.
I failed 20 times before I got it. A lot of people will meet me and they're like, you're so amazing. I'm like, I'm just a professional failure. Doctors say I'd never do sport, had a hole in my diaphragm. I'd go through life and I pick up things that I really love about people. I just do that with people now. And then that resulted in me becoming the first and only female in the world to beat the men.
Welcome to the Resource Podcast, where we are making a ripple and making waves. Today's episode, we are lucky enough to have Ninja Warrior and former gymnast Olivia Vivian.
Former.
Becky, what do you call this? Huh? If this is not gymnastics, I don't know what is, all right?
Of course, she was going to end up upside down.
Definitely former.
So still very bendy, and for this episode is full of a lot of amazing things, you know, the lessons that you've been able to learn, how you've been able to have so much joy, how she ends up upside down on top of chairs and poles and jumping off things. And we get to learn the insights behind Olivia, who she is, her insights as to how to create that in yourself. And what I love about Olivia the most is, you know, making the impossible possible. So tune in. I'm excited to hear it. Olivia's going to probably, she might do it completely sitting upside down. Who knows? But it'll be fun. Tune in, guys. I can't wait for you to hear it. We did it. Look at us go, Olivia Vivian. We've made time of busy lives. You've been traveling all over the place.
I know.
And we've made time to come and sit here on the big green chairs.
Aren't they comfy? Like,
they really
oh my God,
are.
they're just like.
Yeah. So I'm going to fight. You're like a cat.
I know. Like, I don't wear much makeup, otherwise it would turn.
Just snuggling on in. You look fabulous in your yellow. I've got this thing with friends where I'm actually quite shallow. So I'm like, you've got to be attractive, you know? So
yeah, I know. Hence your text this morning. Wear makeup, do your hair.
I was just like, feel good. You know what I mean? I want you to feel good, which I know you do without it.
I feel my best after like this. Hard and hot. I've really cooked my words already, but after a really solid workout, I'm like,
or going to reclab where you've been in the sauna, you've been in the ice bath, you're like,
yeah, I love
just
that.
feel your best then.
Yeah, but also I don't have many mirrors around, so I often forget what I look like. And then you walk in front of a mirror and you're like, goo.
I feel like that's a good thing sometimes. But then do you know what? Sometimes I walk past a mirror, depends on what day it is, what part of my cycle, and I go, girl,
you look amazing.
Who is that? Is that me? You know, you spend so much time in your own head thinking certain perceptions, and then you see yourself in the mirror and go, oh, not too bad.
I found that when I'm like that, right, and I'm like, damn, I look like really good. And then someone takes a photo and you're like, wow, I feel like I look different in the mirror.
I feel like a 10. I feel like a 10
I'm like,
that picture.
Oh, wow, that's not what I saw this morning.
It's funny. My toxic trait is I'll look in the photo and I'll be like, yeah, okay, you did good. You're like, I think sometimes the perception of myself in my head is but actually that's like a catch-22, isn't it?
I don't think that's a toxic trait, and I think that's a superpower, because I've always seen you like both in person and in photos. I'm like, she's just photogenic, but also life-genic. Like, you're genic. You're just genic, you know? Like, you just like...
You could call me genic because it's the same. So when you came into the studio, F45, I remember being like, I want to be friends with her.
Is that what you thought? I had the, like, opposite. You're like...
not that bitch.
No, like, you were... I was there to train. Like, I was there with, like, purpose. I had meaning. I would, like, just wanted to... get everything done. Like, I think you remember, like, I wouldn't even take the rest breaks. I was like, no, let's go. And then you'd come up and you'd be like twerking and you'd be like, ah, and then you're trying to chat. And I'm like, what are you
Yeah,
doing?
some of
I'm
this,
like,
some of this. It's like the way that I do as a trainer, I feel like I try to distract people. And you being like, a former gymnast and like a ninja warrior, like I've actually got to train for something.
Hello.
I'm not,
Yeah.
just coming here to swan around. Like I've got to train.
Yeah.
So but I remember being like, oh yeah. And now I know that I consider myself very lucky where I'm like, she's my friend.
Well,
and
I
love her.
I think if that works both ways, because over time, like you snuck your way in there, like then you found me like twerking halfway through my workout. And I think one of the beautiful things I found from that was actually dancing during a workout gave me more energy. Like it totally changes the state. And now, like when I coach people or I mentor others or I'm training myself, I take a little bit of that into my own training now.
Yeah.
So
You've got to have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's definitely a you thing is like reminder to bring joy.
Yeah.
And what's your quote? Live true, be you. And even the other day, we were having a conversation and it's like you stopped halfway through because I think you could sense that I was going down a path of, but I've got to do this and I want to do that. And you're like, Becky, a reminder.
Yeah.
Just be you.
Yeah.
Live true. It doesn't have to be anything that it doesn't need to be. Where did that come from? Have you always been like that? Or is it like...
I think it came from like a few different spaces. Like as you build your profile, like I did with Ninja Warrior, like I wanted something. I wanted something I could tell people or they could go to help them on their own journeys. And like a part of it was like, oh, I like that it rhymes, like just the shallow level stuff. You're like, it rhymes. Woo!
No, I love that.
And then I think a big part of it came from like growing up just like being the only redhead in the class and getting teased for it, or not being the best gymnast, or like just being goofy and out there and like a little bit like just a little bit wild, a little bit different, or an extrovert around introverts sort of thing. And I just found like in moments where I was just like myself, it also gave other people permission to be themselves. And so I really liked that aspect because I think a lot of us are really hard on ourselves a lot of the time, but sometimes our like deepest insecurities are actually our superpower.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and so I really resonated with that and just be yourself. Like, you don't need to try and be someone else. I like the aspect of like trying to aim to just be better, but you're actually pretty awesome if you just let yourself get out of your own way and let like that true self come out.
And your content is always just fun, and like I know that there'll be like the reality of what life looks like is you could have traveled, like to 7 different countries in that month. You could have done a competition, a Guinness World Record, like you've had to attend a workshop and you still show up with joy and fun. Like I do love that. And you inject fun into life and like a reminder constantly that it doesn't have to be serious.
Yeah.
I can imagine sometimes it's like, it's not always, that way, but I've definitely admired that about you is joy and fun.
Yeah. I mean, I think I get that from my dad. I had like this amazing combination of parents, whereas my mum was like very strict, very like, but she just did the best with what she had. She didn't have a lot of money. My parents divorced when we were younger, and I remember like getting dinner at night, and it was if you didn't finish your like plate of food, you got it for breakfast the next morning.
And she followed through with
Oh my
that?
God. She was like, no false threats. Okay. Like, which it was fine for me because I was just like this, more kind of kid. Whereas my brother had cold broccoli many
like
mornings.
Often.
Yeah. It was like,
Trent's like, damn you.
I've got the Weet Bix, and he's like, broccoli.
Yeah. You're there like, yay, I'm having a great, and he's like, ugh.
Oh, and I'd totally rub it in. But Dad was the fun. He was the fun parent. He was the one that would throw us up at the beach. He like would like just really live his life. Whenever I was like getting dropped off for a competition, the only thing he'd ever say to me was, don't forget to smile, have fun. Because it was like, growing up mostly with mum and a strict household, And then gymnastics, which was even more strict. I think I needed that injection of fun. And I found that throughout my life, if I'm enjoying it, if I bring the joy, if I like let go of the outcome sometimes and just be in that moment and appreciate it for what it is, I'm a better person. I'm in a better state, and I can help others just like relax as well around me. So I really, I love that. I loved that about my dad, and sadly we lost him to melanoma cancer when I was 23. And I had a coach and a mentor in America who'd lost a few people, and she said, and I'll never forget it. She just said, take your favorite attributes of him and slowly start installing them in your own behaviors, your own values, your own beliefs. And then in a way, a part of him will always live on through you. And that just like, I never forgot it, you know? And I didn't have many people around me at that time who'd lost a parent or someone close to them. So yeah, I really appreciated that piece of advice. So
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I can see, I've obviously was not lucky enough to meet him, but he's definitely instilled in your life hugely.
Actually, the other day I was like going through like old content, you know, when I'm trying to piece together new projects, and I found the video that I created for his funeral. Bawled my eyes out, but also got to like be in that moment and re-look over photos from his childhood and his life, and he really was such a goober. Like I found like photos of him just like swimming nude and
I
like,
love it, Dad.
dressing up like in the most outrageous outfits for parties. Like, yeah, just like.
Do you know where that came from? Where is it like a grandparent, or what was like, this is a left of center kind of question.
Yeah.
Where did that joy come from for him?
I'm not like him, and he wasn't the kind of person that told us a lot about his upbringing and his parents. I do remember Mum actually trying to hide us from them a bit. I think she saw that they were like really just, they were something. And so I don't remember many times actually being around any grandparents. My mum's from New Zealand, so her mum was over there, and our grandma actually lived like 2 streets behind us, and we rarely saw her. So I only like have like what Mum's told me about them and an imagination. And I think Dad was like under a lot of strict pressure, and he was the only male, the son he was the only son of a plumbing legacy family. And so he like carried on the legacy as a plumber, and I can only imagine he had a lot of like pressures to just do what the family does. And so when he wasn't in that environment, he just got to be free and live and soak up every moment of joy. Like I remember he dragged Trent and I to the airstrip because he learned how to skydive, you know. So we're just down like playing like the soccer thing, and then we found a way to like unscrew the latch so we just have unlimited 20-cent coins.
Sounds like you. Yeah,
like the soccer machine, and
just
sometimes
there for days.
Yeah, like as Dad's like jumping out of a plane, and we're just like playing soccer and finding ways to get the money thing open.
So he's definitely adventurous then. Yeah. So like of all the things that you do, gymnastics, you're flying all over the place, you know, like you're wrapping yourself off poles and, you know, with the ninja and everything like that. Do you reckon that came from Dad as well, where it's that sense of adventure and the adrenaline?
Initially, like, no, I was a very like focused young kid in terms of like what I wanted to do. Sometimes I'd forget to have the fun. But then I think once I lost Dad and had to go through that grieving and reflection moment, that's when I kind of like had sometimes when I'm stuck in a hard decision, I go, what would Dad do? And that's actually how I got into Ninja Warrior. Like I was running a full-time cafe. I owned a cafe in Mosman Park. Well, actually, let's get real. It owned me.
Yeah, 100%.
For a while.
Yeah.
It owned me at the start. But I remember like there was this day and I got a phone call and it was like, hey, we'd love you to fly to Sydney. And you'll like do some obstacles for this new TV show. And on the same day I got an email from Cirque du Soleil, who'd I'm like done some work with previously in Montreal. And I was like,
in Montreal.
And I slept on it, and then a big part of me was like, what would Dad do? And because I'd been with Cirque, I'd like had a little taste, but this was like a new exciting show. I thought it'd be something like Wipeout.
Growing up,
I was like, that's what I
you'd
had
watched it.
envisioned. Yeah.
Wipeout.
I hadn't trained for years, you
Yep.
know, like just happy working in the cafe. And yeah, a big part of me was like, what would Dad do? And he was like, Dad would just say yes. Like, just say yes, go for it, have fun, enjoy. So I did. I like rocked up in a tutu. I wrote Australia on my crop top because Dad was a bit of a, you know, he was a total ocker. So I was like, oh, let's like bring a bit of Dad to the show, essentially. And yeah, the first year I absolutely like face planted the wall 3 times, but I was around amazing people and we had an incredible experience, and I was like, wow, it just lit a fire. I was like, I really like this. I want to get good at it.
Of what you're capable of as well. Like,
Totally.
definitely watching Ninja, you watch it thinking like, these people who are doing this, you know, you have to have stamina. It's not, you can't just have one part of fitness or health. You have to have the grip strength. You have to have the mental strength. You have to have, there's so many things that go into it with the training.
Yeah.
You said, you know, like going back to that first time, how were you deflated, or were you still in the adrenaline of that you were involved in it at the beginning?
At the start, it was like a bit of adrenaline, but also like exciting because you have no idea what you're doing, and no one like really knew like how to do this perfectly or anything like that. So it was kind of, we were all in the same boat of just experiencing the same thing at the same time, almost like bonded by the traumatic experience.
Yeah, trauma bond. I got you.
Yeah. But I feel like I was really lucky to have individuals around me, you know, for example, like Ashlyn was there, Flashlyn Ashlyn, and another character like called Ranger, and just them as people just being them. They were just like, we stayed up all night and watched the sunrise, and like we're joking about Ashlyn, like because he got through the course in like a minute, and so everyone like the Australian way like wanted to call him the Minute Man, you know, and I'm like, that sounds terrible.
Yeah. Don't go down that path. It means something different.
That's not a good nickname, but I think at the time like I'd been watching The Flash, and I was like, I think Flashling goes like, you know, and like certain things, it just created this amazing experience, and I was like, I want more. I want more of that. So yeah, flew back to Perth. I was crushed. I didn't go through to semi-finals. Like I really was crushed because I wanted that experience again. So yeah, like initially it was heartbreak and that down period, but I instead of just getting trapped there, I used it, and then I took the training that I had from both gymnastics, elite sport, but also college in America. I went to Oregon State, and I had phenomenal coaches there, and I really used that to actually put in the work and train, get good at this, get better, learn, and grow through it. So yeah, really, my journey evolved throughout the years.
Yeah. So talk us through. You had the first initial. You did that first one where you said that it was not subpar. You showed up, you did your best, and it was still, you had stuff to learn. Then you went on to be the only female to beat the men in Ninja Warrior. That's a pretty freaking big jump, you know?
Yeah.
How did you get from the face planting into the wall and, you know, having to go home and being devastated to being the Liv that was able to show up that way and beat the men through that?
There was like so like, man, like just absolute like highs and lows and tests and setbacks and moments where you have to go, okay, I had a plan, the plan didn't work. What did work? What didn't work? How do we revise? Like just constantly like shaping and like moving and like changing expectations and going through the whole emotion. But it went from like season 2, after I'd put in the work, you know, did this cool trick on the wall, and then
cool trick. So cool.
It was like I really wanted to do it because I like standing out, or just like giving people more than just the regular. Like, why don't we give these people more? Because the crowd there, like for people that don't realise, but we filmed from about 8 p.m. to 4 a.m.
Wow.
And that season 2, it was the same crowd. Like, and they have to put it on for the TV as well, you know, like they have to stand up, cheer, be excited. And so, like, in my mind, I was like, whoa, that's a lot. I want to give back. I want to.
Entertaining as
They're
well.
giving me
You're not
energy.
just-
Yeah. I want to give. I want to give back. So, yeah, that trick was cool. And then getting into the grand final, I was like, oh, my God. And I'm the only girl. I was like, whoa, that was, like, really cool. And then I started, like, hearing from people, like, close to me, not the trolls. It was like, oh, yeah, but that's as far as you get because you're just a girl. Which, like, at the time I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I know it comes from, like, a scientific place of, like, for, like, ninja, for example, is primarily power endurance. And the male anatomy, just the way it is, can build up to 300 times more than the female. 300.
That's not small.
That's like, it was like, in my head, I was like, oh, it's, my chances are 1 to 300. But I mean, no, I've never been good at maths.
That's where I would have gone.
Whatever.
Babe, it's fine. That's where I went too. 300. Yes. 1 to 300.
I saw the one, right? But I'm a total Disney kid. I'm just like, there's a chance.
Yeah.
But then I had to almost like kick in everything I learnt from my time in America. Because they don't show up for the free T-shirt, right? They just like, sure, we all love free gear, but they go for it. They absolutely go for gold. So I had to kind of give myself permission to go, all right, let's go for Mount Midoriyama. Even though like it's like sounds crazy, and sometimes you think it's crazy, but I had to like really shift my focus and go, okay, Olivia, like I know this is not the norm. I know that most females are aiming for the grand final. That's their goal. But I'm going to like be uncomfortable here. And it was really like, it's not easy to think, let alone do and put into practice. But I had to just start by giving myself permission to go for something bigger. And then I found that with my shift in focus, my training changed, my attitude changed, my commitment changed. With balancing the cafe as well and a full-time like committed relationship and trying to balance it all. And I started like trusting staff more so I could go and compete overseas and put in more time and money and effort. And then I rocked up to season 3 and I mean like I felt so fit. I was like, damn, like I drew the confidence from my training. I was like, wow, I feel really good. And then I got to the grand final again, the only female. And the grand final, the way it works is it's you against the clock. You hit a buzzer or you're out. There's no like top 20 make here or top 6 make. No, it's like you're in or you're out. And I remember like facing the spider wall and it was an obstacle where you have a trampoline and you send yourself and you jump and you catch. And I'd done it before. And I looked back at the clock. I had a minute left and I was like, oh my God. Like I definitely got ahead of myself, I thought like. And I think this is a crucial moment when you're in the moment where if you lose focus or you disrespect the obstacle, you're not thinking about your technique, your focus, where you are in that moment. It just takes one thing and my knee buckled and I just like a baby giraffe, just like kind of like awkwardly ran over this tramp and ran into the water. And just like, I guess that moment of falling short of my expectation I'd placed on myself, it made me question why I was doing it. Because we don't like get paid to do the show. We're like basically volunteer talent. And we train almost all year round for this one moment of filming. They film it all within 2 to 3 weeks, like this one moment, one shot. There's no practice runs at the course. What you see on TV is our first run, and it's terrifying. But in that moment, I really did have to ask myself why I was doing this. And like the answer for me was just very simple. It was very clear. It came back to like my childhood when all I wanted to do was gymnastics and I had like elite level coaches tell me that I was too tall for the sport. And I watched the Sydney Olympic Games. I saw a gymnast named Svetlana Korkina and she was 165 centimetres. She was the tallest female gymnast I'd ever seen. And I said, if she can do it, I can do it. Like watching someone else achieve their dream, like made me want to chase mine and believe that I could. So I think for me, why I was putting in all that work, the training, the early mornings, the late nights, the flying, the investing my money into travel to go compete and get experience and get coached by American coaches. It just came back to me wanting to be that role model for someone else like I had. So someone else could look at me on the TV, like a young girl or a young person, and go, if she can do it, I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Can almost like, unlock the permission they need to give themselves.
And you can do it. Like you don't need permission, like you said, from anybody else. There's anything is kind of possible.
Yeah.
And you definitely have that headspace. So there's no is not an answer.
Yeah.
Or you can't do it. It's not a way that Liv kind of thinks. It's like, let's figure out a way to get it done.
Yeah. It's kind of like when I like dream, I talk about it in the terms of like, decide what you want and why you want it. Because like the why will just help you in the moments in the mornings where you just don't feel like it. You go back to your why. Why am I actually putting in this work? Why am I going through this? And then R, so dream, we go R is research. Like, has anyone done it before? And if not, like, could I be the first? So for my like moment in that time, America had been doing Ninja Warrior for many more years, and they had amazing athletes, amazing coaches. And so I like went and got coached by some of the male athletes. You know, if I'm trying to beat the males here,
show me what you're doing.
Let's go learn from some really experienced, high-performing male coaches in the space. So I did. So I researched, okay, that person. And then evaluate, like create a plan sort of thing. And then A is like adapt. Because the first plan, let's get honest, let's get real, you're going to fail. You're going to fail. You're going to fall. You're going to make mistakes. It's not going to work. So we have to learn to adapt, be flexible. And then M is like measure, like what worked, what didn't work, rinse and repeat. Let's go again. So from that season 3 to season 6, we had COVID. I like got a serious elbow injury. Like the year like leading into season 6, like I could barely do a chin up, pull up, you know.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And I remember, you know, like for speaking into injury, what it does for your brain when you're so capable of doing so many things and you're capable of doing beyond what humans can usually do. And then all of a sudden you've got this injury. What was going on in your brain when you had that injury in a way? Because you had something shortly, you know, like you had something 6 months later, or you had Ninja that you were going to be filming.
Yeah, like I literally like the rehab was like, you need to be off it for 3 months.
And you went,
like,
no, thank you.
I was like, what do you mean? So definitely like stress, anxiety, just like because in the past I drew a lot of my confidence from my training. That's how I was able to like step up and go, okay, because it's terrifying when you're standing on that front platform, the lights, the camera, we call it icing, they ice you. So you're up there for a really long time as while they're getting all their shots, their camera shots, their like crowd shots, sorry. You're like, and you're just like, like you're trying to like put on a smile. I tell people like it's the fakest smile I'll ever give because on the inside I'm like shitting my pants. You're like staring down this barrel of obstacles that you've never done before. And so I used to like focus on my breathing and I'd do a handstand because it gets me in the flow zone. I'd jump around or smack my legs to give feeling again because when I get nervous, I lose feeling in my legs. So I have to remind myself they're there.
Really? You're like, I have 2 legs.
Yeah. But it's like scientifically, it brings blood to that area.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, you know, like old movies or TV shows, or maybe it's just me when someone's like, and someone just comes along and is like, boosh, you know, smacks them.
Yeah.
Look, it's not the right
so
way to do it,
do
right?
that? So like if somebody's stressing out, just like whoosh or just like whack them in the legs.
I would never do it to someone else.
Okay.
Totally
You
do
have
it
done that to me.
Oh,
you don't know it. I remember that time.
I do it to myself though.
Okay.
Like,
Noted. If you're ever just glazed over, I'll be like, Liv.
You forget your I don't own a lot of makeup. If you forget your makeup, you're like, come on, blood flow, let's go to the cheeks. But no, totally lost my train of thought. But I do remember like thinking, wow, I was freaking out about it because a lot of ninja is upper body, and I knew that. And so I just kind of had to go, okay, cool. I got a really great physio. He was actually here in Perth, and he noticed things that I had no idea was going on. And so he gave me a rehab program. It still wasn't hanging or bringing pain to it, but it was more isotonic and just hold movements, stuff that he'd found in recent research. Because like tendon injuries, the research of it like 15 years ago is 180. And so it's changed, it's adapted. We know more, we learn more now. So like so grateful. His name's Scott Murray. He's here in Perth actually, like really changed the game in terms of my elbow recovery. And then I had to go, okay, I can't control this. I can only control my rehab. What else can I do? And so I went, okay, we filmed the show between 8 and 4 a.m. at nighttime. So then like a few months, 3 to 2 months, I forget a little bit, I shifted my entire body clock. Like I started training at about 11 p.m., 12 a.m. Because if I'm going to go run at that hour, I should adapt my body to that. Let's actually get in the habit of that so it feels normal. It feels right. And then I did what I could do, and that was cardio. And I was living in Brisbane at the time, and oh my God, Brisbane and their hills.
Is cardio a strength of yours? Is cardio something?
I avoided cardio at all costs. Like people would ask me, like, what's your biggest fear? Like, is it spiders or snakes or whatever? I'm like, no, cardio.
How ironic. How ironic that it's you're thrust into doing this thing that you're like.
I know. I was just like terrified of cardio. I had to just force myself into that and go, okay, well, this is what I can do. This is what I can control. And yeah, I remember like running out in Brisbane, like the hills sucked, but because it's like 1 a.m. sometimes, Brisbane have like these enormous bats that we don't have in Perth here. And like I'd be running, and then all of a sudden out of a bush or out of a tree would come this like enormous bat, and I'd be like, ah! And like a part of it, I was like, I'm Batman.
Look at me go.
Yeah. It would almost distract me from
and you
the
were like,
pain.
Bam.
Yeah.
Pow.
Yeah. Totally. Superhero mode activated. And sometimes it would be a scare and just make me run faster. And I'm like, extra cardio. But yeah, it actually enabled me to show up to season 6, which was the first year they introduced racing, side-by-side ninja, which was like a whole nother stomach of nerves. Oh, my God. Because suddenly it's no longer just you in the course. Suddenly there's someone else, and that, you know, like horses, how they put the blinders on? Like, I wish I had that. You know,
well, you don't.
You just like you mentally have to create them so you're not focused, like, because it is another ball of nerves there. But because I'd put in cardio, we got to the semi-finals, which was the race. It was the first time ever I did 10 obstacles in a row, and I didn't need to pause for breath.
Look at you go.
And the result of that, like I ended up for the first time becoming the first and only female in the entire world to beat the men. And that was like,
you know, like there's going to be crowds screaming here. This is where we're going to put that in.
Sorry,
100%. And then also like a high five there, Queen.
Like, well, let me get away from the mic. Let's do it again. Yeah. Right?
Because huge.
It was
huge
massive.
Physical challenge. Like, you know, your body, like you were saying, scientifically, physiologically, your body says no. Society says no. Everything had been kind of pointing in the direction of that you can't do that. Why don't you just bring yourself back? And then you did it.
Yeah.
And how did that feel?
It, to be honest, I think it was mixed. It didn't like sink in straight away because we're also there like with your friends and your like these training partners who like necessarily didn't have their dream run, you know? So you're also surrounded. And I was trying to be mindful around like, I just did this amazing thing, but hey, this person also fell and I really care about them. So it was like a weird mixture. And then I had people say it, and then my mistake was I started to believe it, but comments like, yeah, but it's only because this person fell. or like, it's only because you don't have a 9 to 5, or it's because you don't have children. Which, yeah, like I get it. Like sometimes people just say their opinion or whatever and don't think too much of it. But again, my mistake was actually starting to tell myself that. And so like instead of actually celebrating that moment for what it was, like that wasn't just like a fluke. It didn't just happen. Like there was a lot of sacrifice. There was a lot of failing, mistakes. Like, again, there was no like reward for the furthest, fastest female ever for Australian Ninja Warrior. Other countries did it and it really motivated the females there. It was like, well, no, if you want to do this, like there's no certain amount, get into this. Like it was, you really had to dig deep for that motivation, your why.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think I properly actually stood still for a moment and just went.
Celebrated
and owned it. Because a big part of my brain was like, yeah, it's because you don't have kids.
Yeah.
And
How
so
wild.
Looking back, I wish I knew that then to actually go, hey, Olivia, it's okay to celebrate that. It's okay to own it. But yeah, I think a big part of me was I was just too hard on myself or thinking about other things or then just going, oh, what else do I do? What's next sort of thing. So yeah, I think.
Moving on to the next thing all the time. So you've been a Australian gymnast. You've gone to the Olympics where you've also done well in gymnastics. You've been a ninja warrior where you've done well in these kind of things. I know definitely based on conversations that I've had with people is there's these huge, massive, massive highs that you have. And with the massive highs comes the huge lows.
Yeah.
Can you give us some insight into, I'm like, please relive your trauma or relive the hardest parts of your days and, all of that kind of thing. But I think, it's really important, I think, for people to be able to hear because I think the perception of, social media, and you actually do a really good job of showing people the tough things, but not everybody does that. So, yeah, speak into that.
I mean, even with the social media, at the start I didn't. I was raised in an institute that like criticized mistakes. We especially a lot of my childhood, we were aiming for the perfect 10. Like the phrases growing up were, practice makes perfect. We know now.
I'm not triggered.
We know now practice makes progress, but in my mind as a kid, practice makes perfect. And so, and then also if we made a mistake, it was like, pretend like you didn't. Brush it off. You're like, nope, that didn't happen. Put on a smile. No, that was meant to do that sort of thing. And as a kid, that sort of training as well, I think had long-term psychological effects. So even when social media first started, I found myself only posting good things.
Yep.
And then I had to learn over time that, well, hang on a second. I grew up on Australia's Funniest Home Videos.
Yeah, solid, where you just see people. Now you get to watch that on Instagram all the time, but it was like a treat, wasn't it, where you just get to watch people fluff.
I would laugh so hard. And it was my favourite show for a long time to the point where it was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was like, I want to host Australia's Funniest Home Videos.
I just want to fuck up all
and
the
then
time.
someone was like, Olivia, you couldn't do that job because your laugh is so outrageous. That would be the audio.
Oh my God, you could.
But
you would be amazing.
I would be amazing, but they're right.
Yeah.
A lot of the audio
your
would just
is joy in itself.
I would. I do. I laugh at fails. I think as long as the person's okay.
Yeah.
Because
they're a fact of life,
There's certain fails. I think you just fell on a mat and you missed an obstacle. Let's laugh about it. Well, it's okay. We all fall. Especially, I love ninja because it humbles anyone.
Yeah. We
all go in the water. Every single one of us, So I think there's a beauty in that going, it's all right. That's normal. Or let's laugh at something like that was a stack or a funny as long as they're okay. I lost my train of thought.
So how do you feel about how did you feel about failure then? And how do you feel about failure now?
Now I totally embrace it. yeah, like, hang on, I'll get there. I did have something really good. There was social media.
Take your time. We're all good because we can just cut this bit out.
It's all right. I actually elected the last spot today.
Do you want me to help you? Or are you good?
No, we were talking about social media.
Social media, how you're able to show up, you're honest, the fact like when you are really good at showing the not so good. So we were talking about the highs and highs and the really low lows.
Yeah. I mean, I think even like just through my own journey, I wasn't fantastic at some of that stuff. And I had to go, oh, hang on, like we're all human at the end of the day. And like inspiration is great. I will never undervalue like watching someone accomplish something because it totally changed my life. But we do have a lot of access now with the internet, with social media. And I think it's a good reminder to go, okay, sometimes it's not real. Like that could be AI, that could be photoshopped, that could be like totally fake, or like what really goes on behind the scenes of that. And I wasn't great at showing that until I was like, hang on, Olivia, this is really important stuff for people, especially young people. If I've got like young kids looking up, I want to go, hang on, I failed 20 times before I got it. You know, a lot of people will meet me and they're like, you're so amazing. I'm like, I'm just a professional failure. I think it's the fastest way to learn is just to throw yourself in. Because I think a lot of us, including myself, like we hold ourselves back and we buy into the fear. It's just false expectation appearing real, right? Like,
say that again.
Yeah, fear. It's the false expectation appearing real. You know, because as a child, I forget the doctor, but he discovered that the only thing that we're born with is the fear of falling, and it's that feeling where, you know, like I've had it when I fall asleep. I don't know about anyone else. Sometimes you're like nodding, and then like. It's like this almost dream that you're falling and you're suddenly like, you know, and then your whole body feels weird. I still get that sometimes. But everything else is learnt or taught.
Yeah,
and I think
wild.
it is wild. I think live as a kid, I just remember growing up in environments where, yes, I had Russian coaches like some, but it felt like a lot of people around me were speaking a language I didn't quite understand. And like that would come from, like, let's say, for example, Mum would say, no, Olivia, you can't climb on the roof. But I'd seen Dad climb on the roof. And I was like, it's just the words of you can't. You know, I was like, it didn't make sense. Because then when she wasn't looking, I was totally up on it.
Yeah, you're like, actually, I can. I think that encapsulates who Olivia is.
Yeah.
Is making the seemingly impossible possible. And it's like people tell you can't do it and you're like, watch me.
Yeah, it starts like that for sure. But then if you're constantly just trying to prove people wrong, it's exhausting. And then I had to learn the hard way that like it's not actually about validating that or proving something wrong. I'm in control of that. That's all I need. So not trying to like just prove people wrong. It might start that way sometimes, but then I have to go, actually, Olivia, do you want this?
Yeah.
Is it worth it? Like, is it actually helping you with your current goals? Or are you just trying to do it just because someone said you can't?
Yeah, I love that. I think it's an important point for you to speak about. And, you know, to go back to, you know, speaking about sacrifices and what you made as well, for everything that you did, you know, you did it as how old were you when you started gymnastics?
Well, story time.
Bring it.
I didn't know it at the time, but Mum said she took me to a kindy like session when I was like 5. And apparently I like loved it. I was like just this fearless little kid running all over the beam when other kids needed to hold their parents' hand, and I was just like, get away. But Mum said like they wanted me for the elite program then, but she couldn't afford it. And so I don't remember starting gymnastics until I was about 7.5 years old. And that was my local PCYC gym. And yeah, I walked in there and I saw this girl doing circles around the uneven bar. And I was a kid that was always on the monkey bars at school. So I was like, that is one very extreme monkey bar.
I want that.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
And then she just couldn't get me away. Like I loved gymnastics. I was obsessed.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't doing it in the gym, I was doing it on the couch or handstands on the wall. Like, you know, it was just footprints. Dirty footprints.
This is the thing, is like, so it's all fun. You know, 7 years old, it's fun, it's exciting, you're going, you're enjoying. When did you see that? It's a lot of pressure to go through as well, being in gymnastics from somebody who's, you know, done it. Like I think I did it for about 6 months when I was 7. It's fun that you're going there to do that. You're doing things that as a little kid, you're showing yourself around. When was the transition between it being fun and feeling that pressure and feeling the sacrifices that you were making for showing up for other people? Or
Yeah, I think as the journey went on, again, I was just doing it because I loved it and I wanted to be better. I wanted to like overcome new challenges and learn new skills. Like it was really stimulating. I think it's a wonderful sport. I'm still like obsessed. Like it teaches you so much as a kid. But then I got invited to the Elite Institute. And I mean, like for me, I was like, this gym is like 5 times the size and they have a foam pit.
a foam pit.
Foam pit. But the gym just came with a lot more structure, a lot more rules. Like they were training athletes for the Olympic Games. Like I didn't really notice the Olympic rings at first until I watched the Sydney Olympic Games. And I was like,
that's what they are.
Like look at them things, you know. I was still like, foam pit.
Fun, exciting.
Yeah.
Get to hang out with my friends.
But then with the sport as it like was them back then, it was like the teams were picked by like coaches or judges or officials. Like it wasn't a certain like, you know, with swimming, you touch, that's your score, it's your qualifying, or you're running, that's your time, that's your qualifier. It was like a selective process. And so I found that in that environment with all the structure and the rules and this is how we do it, this is how we walk. We have our hair this short so it fits in a ponytail that doesn't whack you in the eyes. There was just a lot of like things to just conform to. And the fear of missing out on a team was enough to, like for me personally, I won't speak for others' like experiences, but for me it was like enough to go, oh, I can't do that because I want to be an Olympian. Mum, I had hair down to my bum, right? And I went home one day and I said, Mum, it's time to cut it. And then I learned or I taught myself to stop telling my parents about some uncomfortable things I felt at the gym. Just because I knew like Mum's always been like my greatest protector. You know, even when like coaches would say, no, she's too skinny, she's too bony, she's too tall, she's too old. Mum was like, you know, like, my daughter.
Gotta love her.
Like, yeah, she's like, will absolutely fight for what she believes in. I'm so grateful because I did learn quite a few of those attributes and installed them in myself. But I then just became too afraid to tell my mum stuff. I had to tell my mum, like, stop, like, no, when you come to the gym or you like come and be Jill Vivian, I get punished. I get ignored. I get told off the next day.
Which for a kid is the worst case scenario.
Yeah. It like, I do look back with like mixed feelings because I will never lose track or sight of the fact of how blessed I was. You know, I had a family that truly sacrificed for me. Like Mum, there was times she didn't eat dinner so we could, you know. We didn't have, she sewed all our clothes. And then with gymnastics, it was very expensive, both in money but also time. Like as the schedule when you reach high school is you're training 10 times a week, 10 sessions, 34 hours a week. That's just in the gym. Like that doesn't include the physio and all the extra stuff. So I was very aware how much they gave up for me, which was, you know, I'm very, very grateful for it. But when it got to that point in gymnastics, I found that when it wasn't fun, when I didn't necessarily like want to do it as much as I used to, I also think I was just too afraid to like actually go, I'm quitting, because I didn't want to let my family down. I wanted to follow it through and like pay them back in a sense. So I think I taught myself to sacrifice like my mental health or sacrifice just my health in general. Because you push through injuries, you tried like different outlets to try and relieve stress and pressure and expectations. So yeah, for me, I think all just these things as a kid, I just taught myself because I was too afraid to just properly speak out sometimes.
And what were some of the things, if you don't mind me, what were some of the things that you were hiding from your mum that, as a kid, you need your parents, you need the support from? And do you feel like you grew up a little bit fast as a kid with some of the things that you had to keep from your family?
There's like a lot of it, and I'm trying to rewire the shame I feel around like my thought process around like it was just normal. Like, because for me it was like, it was like, well, it's just like normal. And I'm still in that space of like, I had the opportunity to train in an elite institute. Like that's huge. Not every kid gets that. I had like elite level coaches. I had like a whole environment of like, sports psychologists and nutritionists and like recovery centers when we'd go and travel and do camps over in Canberra. Like it was like real. I'm so grateful for it. So I think like maybe some of the things I like wouldn't tell my mom was just like maybe how I was feeling down or under pressure to perform or to like make these teams, or like how I didn't want to let them down because they trust me, my family were not shy.
Yeah.
They're not shy
No,
people.
they're not. We love them.
And they would remind me constantly that they'd sacrificed a lot.
Yeah.
But like maybe just some of the intense like language used in the gym, or even just a mixture of feeling like I was ignored. And that was like a combination of just me not putting in 100%, and just coaches going, Olivia, she's not the focused one. I feel like I just needed different sorts of motivators.
Do you feel you speak to a lot of young kids, a lot of young women, and a lot of school-age children, and which makes my heart so happy.
I know, it makes
seeing
me.
that
I
you
love
do
it.
that.
I really love it.
And you are such a blessing for those kids. And what you're speaking about now in being able to connect with how you're feeling uncomfortable, I think it's not something as a human being that we're taught, unless we are specifically taught that, to speak up for ourselves in that discomfort if we're feeling like we're letting people down. What's your advice to the kids now? I know that you've done a lot of work in speaking to schools
with kids, like I think it's a different a different journey. It's a different age to be speaking to. I think like for kids in general, like whether it's like teenagers, for example, they're at that age where they're looking to their friends, like, they want to fit in. They want to like, they're in this weird mix of like hormones and like trying to be their own person, but also they need help and support from people. It's just, I think it's a tough and challenging time for any teenager, no matter where you are. But I will never like tell them what to do or what they should be feeling or thinking, because I did not grow up in 2025 as a teenager. You know what I mean? Like the times have shifted, they've changed. They're balancing so many things that I personally I didn't have to. I had like MSN, which was like slow dial up, right?
Yeah.
So I would never like tell them.
Tonight will be the night that I will die for you. Like,
right. So like I think for them, like it's just like it's okay. Whatever you're experiencing, whatever you're going through, is exactly what you should be going through. Like to a T. It's going to shape you. You can just try be more mindful of it and give yourself permission to go, okay, it's okay. Like I'm seeing a million things a day on these socials of what other people are doing and I should be doing or I want to do. But like also remembering that person didn't have your upbringing. They might be a different age. They might live in a different country. Like they might not be showing you the real side of how to get that sort of thing. So just like maybe detach from that, connect back with what you're doing, keep it simple, like stop trying to do so much. Let's like simplify it and come back to some basics. Because it's totally okay wherever spot you are. And if you want something, like if you do want to achieve something, let's just try focus on that one thing, not 1,000 things, like just that one big thing, and then obsess over it. And again, just dream. Decide what you want. Why do you want it? And there's no wrong answer. Like I started Ninja because, I wanted to do something different. Say like go have some fun. Like bring a bit of my dad to a new opportunity. I remember in like that first interview I showed up and they do like a full interview. They're like, why are you here? Like, why are you here in Ninja Warrior? And I was like, I'm here to perv on all the hot guys. Oh my God, like it's still there. The interview's still there. Right? And like it's classic me. I have a good laugh after it. I'm like,
It is.
I couldn't be like, I'm here because you gave me a phone call and asked me to come,
Yeah.
I was like,
let's be real.
Yeah.
I want to call a spade a spade. Six pack. Admire.
I just want to like bring the joy, bring the laugh, bring the fun.
And you do. I love that about you.
Yeah.
And then so, bring it back to going to Ninja and, you've spoken about so many different things along your journey and the commitment that you had obviously to your sport in gymnastics and then also that took you off to being able to do Ninja. A part of your journey as well was lived with somebody else, like you had somebody else that you were able to bounce off who was going through the Ninja as well in that relationship. There was, the good parts and the not so good parts. And there was the, the challenging parts as well. Can you speak into, I suppose, how good that was to have somebody next to you experiencing that you were able to go home and then the challenges that came with that as well?
Yeah, I think we all just go along this journey of life, all of us, and we experience things. And I think for me, when I do like go through something hard, I try and remember that wasn't done to me. It was done for me, and it's going to make me better and send me down a different path or what I should be learning in this moment. It helped us because it shifted our focus to Ninja quite more often than not. And so we're both able to learn and grow and commit ourselves and also like try and give back to other people coming into this sport that we just like freaking loved. And so like we developed this relationship around that common passion and similar values on that sense. And although there's like tons of highs and lows with any relationship, I learned a lot out of that. Like I learned communication and how to like collaborate with someone and how to live life with someone else, like full time, full on. And it was nice having someone that understood Ninja because it was mentally so draining, that whole process of feeling like you're training all year for this one moment opportunity to run this course and hopefully like do well, but also inspire others with that mission. It was very draining mentally. So to have someone that understood that process was actually really nice. I felt like really lucky to have someone that whether it went well or whether it didn't, they were there and they understood that. And then over time, like we grow and we change and we wanted different things. And even as I learnt more about myself and dive deeper into my own personal development, I had to go face like the gymnastics fear culture and had to go dive deep into that, which like I avoided at all costs. Like I'm a human being, like change, you're just like psychological, or you're just like, oh no, I'd rather go like run hills.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm just going to say here. Yeah.
I'm going to go do something physically challenging, mentally. But yeah, it was like each rabbit hole you go down, you're like, oh my God, like I thought I'd done enough work. No. I did find like myself having to like go through quite a tough period of trying to like almost like drown myself out in a sense. I didn't want to feel like I had gone through trauma or like face that fully to understand myself better. And that was like, it was hard. It was difficult. It was like just looking at those things honestly, like looking at yourself and being real honest with yourself was really difficult. And I found myself like physically exerting myself for this show and for this, my mission to inspire and empower other young girls. And then I was so like, I didn't want to like touch on my own personal development. And I found like, I lost a bit of myself, my joy. I lost that. I'll always feel like I was the result and the cause of that drift apart. Because I'm not sure, if I look back at that time, wow, like I really was for a while quite down, going through a lot of change, a lot of internal stuff that I hadn't faced before and had to. And it's almost like I sunk into a different version of myself, a really like isolated version of myself.
Yeah.
And I try and put myself in other people's shoes sometimes. I think it's healthy to get out of our own world. And like if I'm like stepping out and looking at myself during that period, I'll be like, oh, wow, what a unmotivated human being.
Well, not a lot of people go through self-reflection. You know what I mean? And that's what I love and admire about you, is you're constantly reflecting and also reminding yourself and the people around you, like your brain must be busy, your body is busy, you are not busy is not the word, but full. Your life is full of and your generosity. Just to bring back to who Liv is, my birthday last year was like, was amazing, to the love and the generosity that you feel, like you'll cook food and you'll give people food and you'll give presents, and, you put balloons in the ice bath, and you did a surprise. You brought a beautiful little car and we went through a drive in there. But of all that was your time, and your time is so precious. And what I love about you most, many things, is the time that you give to people. You know what I mean? Because the fact that you're able to, from how full your life is of how you're achieving all these things, is that you give people time and energy and the empowerment or the inspiration that they can be whatever they want to be. And I love that around you. And, I haven't had you as, my life forever, but you're one of those friends and one of those people that I know that, whether they get to see you all the time or not, you make an impact in people's lives, whether you're in it for a short amount of time, whether they're on Instagram, or whether they get to meet you and spend a lot of time with you. They're not willing to let you go. Like I definitely feel that way. Like you ain't going nowhere. And you're like, please let me go. But I do love that about you. And it's admirable with all the challenges that you've faced, obviously, but all the things that you've been able to achieve, and that you're humble about that. And you're still a beautiful human being who's willing to share that with the world, and the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah. I mean, I think losing Dad taught me that our time is the most precious thing we have. Like it really is. And so for people that I'm drawn to or I care about, like I truly believe that is the most precious thing we have. And why would I not want to give that? Like if time is so valuable, like of course I'm going to absolutely look in you in your eyes, and I'm going to listen to what you're saying. I'm going to process that. And if I can help, I want to help. But also if you just need someone to vent to, it's okay. Just go.
And we do.
Get it out.
And we
Get
do.
it out. Yeah, I know, right?
We have a really good vent with each other.
But it is like that's the communication, because sometimes you're like, hey, like I don't need you to say anything. I'm just going to like throw out a lot of words. I'm thinking I shouldn't be thinking. I just need to like get them out.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And I love that you get to be that friend. Yeah. So, you've been through a journey, and you've come out the other end, and you've had the relationships, while you've been. What was a blessing, I think, like you said, was having been along that journey as well, and taking responsibility for the parts that you played where it might not have necessarily worked out. That's really challenging to be a part of publicly.
Well, yeah, but also I think that was like the public aspect was a big part of why I felt so guilty and so shameful during that process. Because if someone else is like doing work on themselves or going through therapy or like going through a hard time, I'd just be like good on you. Like it's actually, good for you. You should be. But I think like for me, during that period, I wasn't being honest with the public persona during that period. It was like I'd show up with the smile and be like, I'm great. Or like if someone's asking for my advice on like, how do you deal with the pressure of the expectation, or how do you do this stuff like that? It was almost like I was giving people medicine, like good advice, like things that are really good. I was like, no.
I didn't want it.
No, like instead, where's the chocolate? You know,
Yeah.
like I was like,
All the vices.
Where's the vices? Where's the coping mechanisms? And then I felt quite guilty and shameful about that, because it was, and that was the hardest part of me going, oh.
Yeah, taking your own medicine. So
Yeah.
where did that change? What was it you had to go through the grieving period? You had to, you know, do what are the things that you did to kind of rid yourself of that shame, or work through it, or experience it and allow it to be, and then getting yourself to the point, you know, now where.
I when 2020 happened and this Netflix documentary Athlete A came out, it was a smack in the face of going, whoa, that was like a big part of my childhood too. That was the culture I felt like I grew up in anyways. And then I started seeing a psychologist. And I mean, like, the first session is like chairs like this. It's super comfy. It was lovely, right? And he's like, Olivia, what brings you in here today? And my honest response was, I don't know. I just didn't know. And you don't know what you don't know. And like, he got me to the point where like he helped me realize I had a lot of issues around self-worth. Self-belief, I got it in spades. Like, I can fart self-belief. Like, I can.
You can bottle that up.
Like, I've proven it enough to myself that I was like, you can absolutely achieve anything you want to.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you're going to have to do that, and it's going to suck, but you can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the issue around the self-worth. Am I worth that? Am I deserving of something like that? Because I like thinking that we should be earning stuff. But some of the comments I heard growing up just shaped my mind. So it was, I was able to get to that point, but just knowing is the first step. Then you have to want to change. And that was the biggest leap for me, because I felt like someone dealing with self-worth, I didn't also think I was worth fixing, or actually like making the changes to be better. Like, I was like, no, like give the medicine to someone more deserving, or someone that needs it more. So I think a moment that I clearly remember was actually last year even. A mentor that I heard say, he had this quote, and I might butcher it, but he was standing on stage, and his name's Aaron Sansoni, and he said, don't just give the best to those that pay you and the rest to those that love you. And I was like, damn. It hit me on a certain level where I felt like I was doing that. I was putting it on like for my friends, or like the social media aspect, or like the public, you know, it was the Olivia. And then behind closed doors, I was like beating myself up and feeling guilt and shame. And so then like people that were really close to me got that version of myself. And it just sparked me to go, oh my God, of course. And so I started like learning more and doing more around psychology and education. And, you know, what started off as like a business course turned into this full personal development, just for me to just align myself. That's all. Because like I do believe that like following my heart and the moral beauty of that, and doing something to inspire other people, I love that aspect about myself. But I just needed to like realign, just adjust a little bit more, so that I'm not just doing it for other people. I'm also doing it for me, and that's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
It seems like so that you know what you'd learnt to brush it off. You know, things that were happening in the gym, and you'd had to kind of you were experiencing trauma and experiencing some of the most challenging parts, and then shutting it down, not sharing it with your parents, was, unless you work on that, we all know, you know, unless you work on things.
I stopped listening to you, Becky. Sorry, I squirreled off.
That's right.
I squirreled off just then.
We are so similar. Come again. What did you say?
I was just thinking that you asked me about like how it was to go up like through that public breakup, like in front of the public.
We're both squirrels on this. We're both squirrels. So
But yeah,
squirrel
I
back
don't
to
know.
that then. How was it? I think we touched on it, but we didn't
So,
touch on
like,
it wholeheartedly.
with the communication around something like that. Like we'd already like saw a psychologist to help like prep ourselves for the breakup sort of thing. But the only thing I think public was just one magazine article.
Mm-hmm.
So I still get people today that are like, how's your husband doing? I'm like, what?
I've got a husband?
What?
Where is he?
Where
Hello.
is he?
Please bring him to me because I'd love to meet him.
And I'm like, oh, look, firstly, like, you know, we were just like, we were never married, but also it's been over 2.5 years now. And it was a tough journey. Some of it was in the public, like some people knew about it and a lot of people just don't. Like we're consuming so much content these days.
Mm-hmm.
You got to remember, like, our brains can only retain so much and process so much. And really, like, I don't know, it's like, we're also dealing with our own stuff. So, yes, parts of it was public, and I just had to face with that and let that I just gave myself permission to just be honest and authentic. And what did suck, and it was heartbreaking. And I had to just go and learn who Olivia was again and find myself. And that was a tough journey, but I'm so grateful for that. I feel like I'm me again. I feel like I've got my energy and my joy and my passion, my spark back, which I'm really grateful for. But then at the same time, it's like, I don't really care what other people think.
Yeah. And that's refreshing. Do you think that comes with getting older? Or is there work? What work have you done around that then?
Like, I think I just understanding that I've always been my harshest critic anyway.
Yeah.
Like, you can say whatever you want to me, you know. I had the sticks and stones will break your bones, because I was bullied for being a redhead in a sense. But yeah, I think whatever you've said to me, I've said worse.
Yeah.
I've said worse. And then I think I learned over time that, like, if I don't respect you, if I don't want your life, if you're just trying to hurt me and not help me, why would I listen to you anyway? You know, like, I had doctors say I'd never do sport because I had a hole in my diaphragm. I had my mum tell me I can't climb on the roof. I had coaches tell me I'm too tall for a sport.
I love how you just swan over. I had the doctors tell me I've got a hole in my... Let's, like, back up, girlfriend. So what? You're an athlete now. And what were you told by a doctor when you were younger?
Well, I feel like it's more of my mum's story, you know? Like, I think at the end of the day, all I can talk to is my own truth and my own experience. Whereas, like, mum will tell me the story of how... in the ultrasounds, they told my mum and dad that I was a boy.
Incorrect.
Yep. And then I came out, and mum's story, okay, this is all mum's perspective. She could have totally made it up. She didn't, but she could have. But she said she was holding me and I was panting like a dog. And she said, like, handed me back. Can I have a new one?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
No, thank you.
Kidding.
Next.
Exchange. I'm supposed to have a boy. This is a girl.
Someone swapped.
Right?
Give me another one. Yep.
You've given me the wrong child. But no, she, in all honesty, for the way she tells it, she gave it back and was like, something's wrong. And so they did more tests and they found a hole in my diaphragm, and it's called congenital diaphragmic hernia. And that took me like 25 years to learn. I couldn't, that's such a mouthful, congenital diaphragmic hernia. What? Like, what is that? So
a hole in the diaphragm.
Hole in the diaphragm. So, like, imagine stomach, intestines, kidney, liver, all the organs down here were actually up in my chest cavity, crushing my lungs.
Holy crap.
Right? So I wasn't breathing properly. I was rushed to Princess Margaret Hospital. A surgeon named Dr. King operated on me in a time where the odds were 1 to 3. 1 in every 3 survived that operation.
That is small.
Yeah. And again, it's not my story. I don't remember that. But the way mum tells it was absolutely terrifying. And apparently they said the surgery is going to last 3 hours, and 7 hours later, they're sitting there like, I can't imagine. You know, I was not them. I did not live their experience. But yeah, they didn't have a lot of data and research at that time on CDH. But yeah, the way Mum says it is, yeah, the medical team said, look, there's probably extensive damage. She's probably not going to do sport. Just the way like they thought back then.
The irony of that. So then, you know, like there's kids who get told, there's adults who get told that they can't do things by people constantly, whether it's family, friends, you know, social media. I think a lot of the time the algorithm makes you feel like you're not enough, you're not doing enough, being enough, whether you're male, female or other. You're constantly bombarded that you can't do the things. And so it's about showing up the best you possibly can with what you've got. What's your advice? You've done workshops, you know, you've done a lot of keynotes, and that's something that you do, and she's available for if you would like to reach out to Olivia Vivian, Live True Be You. What is it you know, like wrapping all of those things up, what you've learned, your self-growth, the challenges through relationships, through gymnastics, through going to Ninja Warrior, being the first female to beat the men. What is it that wraps all of that up to give advice to people on you know, the most important key takeaways that you have been able to?
I think I could only really speak to what I've learned, because I go through life and I pick up things that I really love about people. And it's just like that advice I got from my coach to do that with my dad. I just do that with people now. And so I remember like through the grieving process, I was also spending time around this ninja called Travis Brewer, and he had this thing on his phone, and it was an alarm. And I think it went like, I can't remember what time it goes off, but his alarm would go off every day. And no matter what we're doing, he'd pause everyone. He'd go, oh, it's gratitude time. And in that moment, we had to think about 3 things that we were thankful for that day. And I just loved that. Because people preach gratitude, you know, like gratitude's the attitude. But at that time, I just wasn't feeling it. I was stuck in a more of a victim mindset of like, why me? Like, why did I have to lose my dad, sort of thing? And it was just a small practice. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And at first I didn't set the alarm on my phone, you know. It went off one time, but then like we were traveling doing like ninja stuff, and it was every day, and it was just like a consistency thing, and to the point where I was like, I'm gonna do that on my phone. And so yeah, for me, I think I bring myself back to gratitude. Like the alarm's still at 3:21. I picked the time; it just seemed like 3, 2, 1, go. I don't know. Yeah, but just pick a time. And it was just that consistent practice of coming back to, and it was for me for a lot of time. It was simple. It was like, I have clean water because I have traveled and I've seen other cultures. I've seen other communities. I'm so grateful. You know, I have a bed. You can really bring that back. Like 2 of my good friends are Paralympic athletes. Why would I ever take my health and my movement and my body for granted? You know, like if you just need a little bit of humbling, a little bit of grounding, you watch the Paralympic Games. They're the ultimate to me. They're just like amazing human beings and athletes. So yeah, gratitude would be my first piece of advice. Just to simplify it, because we do live in very chaotic times and things are shifting. They're moving very fast. So let's just strip back to the basics. And then maybe let go of the outcome would be the other one that has really helped me. Like once I started feeling the overwhelm, the pressure, I'm someone that I want to give my best. And I love that about myself. Like as much as I hate the long-term psychological effects of trying to be perfect, I also love that it made me relentless. It made me never give up. It made me want to be better. So I think like something like that, I let go of the outcome because it reduces the expectation, the overwhelm, the anxiety. I go like, you win or you learn, whatever will happen, I'm going to be okay. But
I like that.
Yeah.
So go back to what you just said there. You win or you learn.
You win or you learn.
Where did you hear that?
I'm shocking with names. So like It was from someone.
I heard it from someone.
I heard it from
But
someone.
just say it again.
And
You
then-
either win or you learn.
You win or you learn. And that just, it made me like go, you don't win or lose. You win or you learn. It's like it's a choice of how you see it. Same with like, you know, something can be done to you or it can be done for you, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I had an elbow injury. It forced me into cardio. It got me, you know. So like maybe that wasn't done to me, it was done for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the same concept. It either worked or we get to work on some stuff.
Yeah.
Like just strip it back.
100%. Can you say that again, where you got the injury, you did it and finish it off by saying, and then it got you into doing the.
Okay, yeah. I mean, like for example, when like I had my elbow injury. Well, I had my elbow injury, you know, but that forced me into doing cardio. And then that resulted in me becoming the first and only female in the world to beat the men, you know. So sometimes it works for us. And then, you know, sometimes it just forces us to adapt, to grow, to learn, to be better. But I think like for me, the superpower has just been never giving up.
Mm-hmm.
If I want it, I just won't. Like you figure out what you want and then you figure out how to get it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the how. It's just becoming obsessed with the how.
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to do it? How am I going to do it?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And so where's Liv going to now? What have you got? You've just had, I know it's just come out. You probably did the Guinness World Book of Records and broke a record before. What is it that you've got happening at the moment, and what can we look forward to? How can people get a hold of you and see your magic?
Well, the website I think is dropping, next week, although the podcast will come out. So the website's there, oliviavivian.com. And there's a connection. You can connect through the website. I still do like a lot of things. I'm someone that's consistently bit off more than she can chew, but I've found that we're just so capable as human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? Like if you can, you do. Just like absolutely get down to it. So it is hard to pinpoint me sometimes. I do like fill up my schedule.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment though, I've got like a journal like that's been created so people can like can try and achieve their goals.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of like the ones that I've seen, I've done, and some of them are really great and some of them are a little that, like I've made it more personal. No, this is how I do it. And it is breaking down the steps, you know, the process goals to get there, but inserting the fun, inserting the joke, inserting that part with the small wins, or how to change a state, how to get more energy to help get there as well. So, yeah, I've got that journal in the works.
How exciting.
Writing an autobiography, doing like upgrading the keynotes, but then also thinking of myself like in the athletic space, like because we've, you know, grown multiple businesses and have multiple income streams, and then gone, okay, because I'm someone that's like, pick your own adventure. All right. I was told as a kid, here's your 12 jobs. That's going to like make you happy. And like, sorry, we're not in those times anymore. Like you can pick your own adventure, but you have to put in the work. But I've just gone, okay, now athletically, because I've ticked off every show, Ninja Warrior wise, like Japan was my ultimate. The Sasuke is the pinnacle. It was the pinnacle for me. And if they invite me back, I would like, you know, it's, you don't get paid. I'm like, I'll be there. I'll pay. I'll pay to be there. You know, I just like, that's a really like heart one for me. But now I'm working on a project and I'm so excited about it because my brain's a bit just like total dreamer where I want to put together something really big for charity. Because, yeah, I do think like the art of giving is really special. And if you can, you do. There's always people less fortunate than you, you know. So I want to create something, not just be a talent for someone else's, which I still love. I still love helping in any way I can, but also hang on, like, let's create something. Doesn't exist. Who cares? Let's make it. Yeah. Let's make it happen. So I've got, something in the works that I hope like will come to fruition because, we can do a lot of good for other people. And I'm just like crazy enough.
Yeah.
Just
And
like-
I love that about you is you make things happen. And so for those of you who are listening who have enjoyed the podcast today, I will, when that book comes out, when that journal comes out, if you share this, if you share something from the podcast today, if there's something that resonates with you, if you reach out, we can get you a copy of the journal. And we'll have to do something like a little competition, or, you'll be following Liv on social media. But is there anything that you wanted to leave us with? It's been such a pleasure to have, the inside of what we get to share about and being a part of your life, and, how much you get to be a part of other people's lives. Is there anything that you wanted to finish on, or should we leave it there?
Oh, I mean, there's nuggets everywhere, right?
You've had so many.
Chicken nuggets. Yummy. I think like the concept of like being grateful, but also chasing fulfillment. Because I think a lot of the times, like I used to say, I'm happy but hungry, meaning just like I'm really grateful, but I'm never satisfied. I'm, like let's keep going. But then I have achieved so much, and from someone that I used to attach my self-worth to my achievements because I was raised to do that, I've now just shifted my mind to go, hang on, let's chase things that are fulfilling, because happiness is just an emotion, comes and goes. And if we keep trying to, go to the coping mechanisms or, like the sugar or the alcohol or stuff to try and suppress and hide and escape, we're not giving ourselves what we need. So, yeah, it's the concept of just being grateful for what we have, and let's chase things that are fulfilling, wholesome.
I love that. The perfect way to finish. I think getting if you're listening, what is it that you're grateful for? Taking that moment after listening to the podcast today. But thank you for joining us. Thank you for making time. Thank you for being in Australia for this point in time so that we can get the podcast done. If you've enjoyed the podcast, if you've taken away something, or maybe there's something in the podcast that you think a friend or a family member might enjoy, share. The more people that get to listen to this, the more people that we get to share it with. But thank you so much for joining the Resource Podcast. Thank you so much, Olivia, for making time today.
I mean, can we also just thank you? Like this didn't just magically happen. We didn't just rock up. Like, Becky, you truly are a gem. You've been an inspiration in my world, in my life. You've helped shape me. You've helped make me feel more okay, more accepted, more fun, from someone that knows you and sees things behind the scenes, you put in so much for a podcast like this to help people, to get the word out, to inspire others. And so thank you. Can we just thank you?
No, you hang up. No, you hang up. I love that. And if there's anything from friendship that I can definitely take away is lifting each other up and just filling each other's cup up and celebrating each other and speaking life into each other is what I love. So thank you. I received that, and I'm so grateful that you get to be one of the guests that I get to in this beautiful studio at Bright Star Studio today, and everything that's gone into it, and that you've been a part of being able to, for me to get to this point. So I love you and I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you, team. Goodbye.